It's 7:40. Let's do this. Good evening, Hampton Roads. Good evening, Northeast North Carolina. My name is David Aldrich, Chief Meteorologist of WTKR News 3 Television, and you are watching First Warning Live, where we focus on all things weather, sponsored by Marco's Pizza, because I occasionally get hungry. I don't know about you, but that's what we're going to cover as much about weather as I can. You know, we have only 41 days left until hurricane season is over. Last I checked, without fail, it ends typically on the 30th of November. Does that mean we can't get exceptions? Well, sure we can. But what to expect? We have this new red spot. I'll go ahead and show it to you. In fact, the 8 o'clock update has shrunken. It's kind of reduced the extent of this little red area. So instead it was out here, and now it's kind of shrunk a little bit. So this 90% chance, X marks the spot, has more favorable reasons to expect a tropical development. And the next name on the list is, what is it? It's Melissa. So Tropical Storm Melissa, whatever this may or may not become, will bring heavy rain to places like Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and Cuba, so there is some concern there. The question is, where's it going to go? And I want to explore that here at the beginning of the live stream. I'm going to get you your complete forecast here in a moment, and in addition, talk about the meteor shower tonight. But I wanted to get you onto the same playing field based on history. History, in this case, is climatology, and over here, this is where we are because today's date is the 20th of October. So 7:41 right now. We have now getting closer to the end, but that doesn't mean it's over. And I want to show you where some of the models want to take it. But Melissa would be coming on the heels of Lorenzo, which really kind of petered out. Karen probably should not have been named in the cold waters of the Atlantic. That's just my view. But Melissa, Nestor, and Olga are the next three names on this year's list. Now, if you look at the big screen, you can see, okay, there's little activity over here. There's very little along the coast here. That's good for us. But if something's brewing down here, does it have the potential to curve back up? Some of you might be wondering. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'll show you the latest European model, which would suggest, even from this far out, this takes us to about Monday, where you have a very defined circulation center here with some of the more intense bands on the northeast side of that eye. But it could very well be knocking on the door of Grand Cayman Island. But where does it go from here? Because this whole map's going to take us through Halloween, because I put it up at the top there to the 31st. But this would just kind of bring more rain, heavy rain for anyone that might be in parts of Grand Cayman, maybe Hispaniola or Cuba. Puerto Rico is getting it now. But there are indications from this particular algorithm, this particular model, to take it off and move it out to where? Out to sea. So it would move out like this. That would be great. That would be great. But interesting to note, the GFS, which is an American model, suggests a very different scenario. It does not even get as far over here, in which you notice they kind of shrunk in the cone. GFS is a National Weather Service favorite. This was likely to go where? Out here. So it's even curving further out and probably not a bother. So it's not to say the hurricane season is done, but maybe, hopefully, maybe we've had the worst of it here. We've already had 10, now 11 homes that have collapsed in Buxton, one in Rodanthe, I believe, but there's been quite a few, and our WTKR neighborhood reporter, Will Thomas, has been all over it all summer long, so we appreciate his extra hard work as well. I got to get to some pizza. By the way, did you know we're giving away free pizza this Thursday? I know some of you are like, I didn't know you do that. Oh yeah, Marcos is very generous. We would like to give you, if you're the winner, free pizza for a year, and then we'll throw out 10 individual pizzas, which we've done. All you have to do is sign up here. It takes 1, maybe 2 minutes to put your name in, give us permission to send you a certificate. But what's amazing is this week is somebody's favorite. It's a big favorite. It's a crowd favorite. I think it's a user favorite. It's the 50% off everything. You mean I can get 50% off my entire pizza? That's right. You know, you're just going to give me half the pizza, right? I only get this half. No, you get the whole pizza, but it's half off. That's pretty sweet. If you go to marcos.com today, you don't have to wait to see if you win. You can get half off anything you order, and there's quite a bit of things to order. If you're not familiar with Marcos, they do have salads. They do have the Philly, the white cheesy, the big cheese, the chicken fresco. They got pizza bowls. Do they have pizza bowl? They got those. They got subs. They got wings. They got bread. They got cheesy bread. They got salads, Greek salads, desserts, Cinna squares. All sorts of goodies. Oh, did I mention Pozzoli and pizza? They got that too. You mean I get all that for 50% off? It's true. And if that doesn't tempt your appetite, maybe the works because I love getting a deluxe, but the works is really going all out. You're getting everything from mushrooms, bacon, onions, green peppers, ham, pepperoni, and mushroom. Want to say hi to you if you're on the call. I know we've covered a little bit about hurricanes, but I got more to do, more to cover in this stream. I got a note here that was written from last week. Let me come back here on camera. This is a note from our friend Milton Hill Jr. He probably doesn't know that I'm now reading his note, his comment on the Facebook post days after he wrote it. But that's okay, because this is kind of how this works. I might not be able to proofread all the posts before they come on, but this one, he says, David Aldrich, do you like living in Norfolk, Virginia like I do? I do love living here. This is a great place. There's so much here, not only in Norfolk, Mermaid City, but Chesapeake, Virginia Beach. I've learned all sorts about Newport News yesterday. I've learned that there's a NOAA office for marine sanctuary inside the Mariners Museum and Park. Have you known that? Did you know that? I think I challenged Kurt Williams on that one today. So you'll see a few pictures come in. This is Suffolk and Poquoson. But I'm going to cover those pictures. I have a brand new post. I did it yesterday. I covered yesterday, Milton, if you're still watching, Newport News. I covered everything from top to bottom, from north to south, from the historic end view all the way down to the Yard District. I was everywhere. I even made it to the Patrick Henry Mall. I found all sorts of goodies. And if you want to check out my 80 pictures, they're on Facebook now. I would love for you to share them. Love to be able to share. I mean, there's so many great things about all of these beautiful towns. To go from Poquoson, Smithfield, Moyock, Eatonton. I've taken over 800 pictures. I mean, it's probably not that hard of math to do. It's 80 pictures times 12. And I probably have taken thousands. It's more than 800 pictures. I've taken over 1,000 pictures because I had to delete some to make it fit. That's a Facebook requirement, by the way. For one post, you can't upload 81 pics. They won't let you do it. But either way, who would know that except me, because this is what I do. I like to do this. I like to visit towns and so forth. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I got to load in the new comments so I can keep going on the weather. All right, we're not going to worry. There goes what could be Melissa. Off to the deep, colder waters of the Atlantic. By the way, here's what it looks like right now. And as I wanted to just give you a shout out, if you're on the call, let me know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, because this is a great time for your voice, your note to come in if there are any notes. And I see there are a few. Let me hit refresh because I see there are a few in here. Taj Brown is on here. Let's see here. He is wanting to know, where is he on here? He has a question for me. I'm confused here. Maybe you can help me. I'll telestrate this. No wonder I couldn't use WTKR David. It's different now. Yeah, it's WTKR 50. It's probably just better to have that because that covers all the events. Last week it was WTKR David for a Pizzoli half off, essentially half off. It might be like $8.95 you got for $5 last week. This week it's 50% off the entire, anything in your cart that you put in there, that will be 50% off. I got a couple of notes from you. Let's see here. Taj is on here. Let's see here. Kim Thompson-Jones is on here. She says, I was tagging you as I saw you come on. Glad to have you back in, Kim, on the live element, because some people like to watch it later. And I got a big shout out, good evening from our friend Taj. I'm glad to see his smiling face. Thank you, Taj. Always a pleasure to see you. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad to see that you're watching. All right, let me get back to the weather because this is what we're here to focus on. And you can see it's dark, but it's cloudless. And key point here, it's moonless. How could it be moonless? It's a new moon, mind you. I mean, the moon is still there. It's just playing peekaboo. You know, if you've had kids, peekaboo is a big fun thing to do with the kids. But the moon is doing peekaboo. It's a new moon. It's dark. It's moonless. And it might be like a 1% last night, 0% chance of illumination tonight. But the Orion meteor shower runs until November 12th. But it's peaking tonight. So this is your chance to catch some of these shooting stars that are moving, I might add. They're moving up to 41 miles per second. But see, here's the problem. If you live in the city of Norfolk, if you live in a city, you got to get away from the city lights. Boo! No, it's true. If you have to get a lawn chair, fine. Grab a jacket and a blanket, and the time is between midnight and dawn. Boo! There's a couple of drawbacks here. One might be because you don't want to sit in the cold. Two, it's not as exciting as maybe going through Instagram. I don't know. But 10 to 20 meters per hour, what is that? Every three to 6 minutes or so. Well, you're going to get a show, but you got to look east, and it's going to be coming away from the Orion constellation, from his belt. This is the hunter of Greek mythology, Orion. So if it's called the Orionid meteor shower, it typically occurs. But this year, we got the dark moon, so you have good viewings, but you got to get away from city lights. Does that make sense? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not even advising you to take your kids on a school night to go out and sit and shiver in the cold when it's dropping into the 40s tonight. But some of you might work the third shift. You get off work and say, hey, it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I'll just sit here for 10 minutes and see how many I can count. You can do that. You can do that. You might have some bragging rights the next time you go back to the water cooler. I don't know. But if I don't tell you this information, you are a meteorologist after all. Yeah, but that's a loaded meteor shower. That's more in the astronomy world. But Aristotle, the father and founder of meteorology, because he wrote the paper, was interested in hydrometeors. So water droplets, snowflakes, that's where we get meteorology from. But I point this out because some of you might be brave enough to sit out in the cold and check out a show of 10 to 20 meteors per hour. I got to keep moving. My radar is doing funny things. This is all noise, right? Clear air mode, not seeing much. We got high pressure anchored right now over North Carolina and South Carolina. But the cold front over here, you see this one right over here? This is going to advance tomorrow night. And most of the moisture should be around Morgantown, maybe Wheeling and areas north, right? That's where I expect most of the rain to be. However, as it moves this way, we could get a spot of rain Tuesday night, which is why if you're going to check the meteor shower, do it tonight. That's my suggestion. It's not necessarily gone tonight, but it's tending to peak tonight and tomorrow. All right, here are my headlines. I mean, how could you delay it this? You know, you're like 11 minutes into your stream and I'm just now getting the headlines. Yeah, well, I did cover the hurricane aspect, 41 days, so I wanted to cover that first. Plenty of sunshine with more nice days ahead. Did you say nice? I did. A few evening raindrops possible tomorrow night, and I think there's a time or a window for that to occur is 8 p.m. to midnight for Hampton Roads. You could go into, 2 a.m. if you're in Duck or the Outer Banks, but that's my window. All right, that's pretty specific. 8 p.m. to midnight is when I think a few evening raindrops are possible. But the key word here, possible, 10% chance. It's pretty small. Cooler afternoon highs are expected to end the week. Does that make sense? I'm just doing my best to give this thing all its due. I got a note from Jones who appreciates my sense of humor. With all the sunshine in this 7-day forecast and all the events that we're going to be focused on in Newport News, which I'll show you in a moment, I got to keep it lighthearted. I got to keep it engaging. I would be bored if I just said, here's the thing. I don't want to do that. I don't do that. You don't want to see that. I'd rather give you the nuts and bolts. So here we go, going back to the weather. And I do know Marcos is very generous to give us the WTKR 50. That's a great day to have half off anything you order right through Saturday. That's a deal of the week. I did take note. I like to do this. The National Weather Service and the Norfolk International Airport, kind enough to give us every day their peak wind gust. So back on Thursday when we had all that wind and we had tidal flooding, we had 35. But I told you it would drop off on Saturday. So if it was less than 20 and it was 17, it was a pretty decent day. But if any of you saw my video yesterday from Newport News, it was a windy Sunday and we had a gust of 41. There were a few sprinkles, but nothing measured at the airport. Today was 25. So it's kind of like we're going back to another 25 day tomorrow. These are the peak gusts. So 25 in Norfolk. We'll go ahead and illustrate that in here. I like to have this in there. 28 in Virginia Beach today. It was gustier in Kitty Hawk and Hatteras, 31, and Manio was 30. So that's where we were today. If you look at our current gust, it's probably zero, nothing. It just dropped off with the setting sun. It decoupled. Now we have a 4-mile-an-hour gust. Rodanthe, how do you live to tell about it? 4 miles an hour is your gust. I think that's probably bogus information. Either way, wind gust forecast keeps it pretty light under 10 right through 10 o'clock tonight. You head into tomorrow morning, it's going to pick back up, and it's going to pick back up from the southwest. So I'm anticipating a warmer day tomorrow because why? You probably know, even if you watched this live stream before, southwest is a warm weather direction. You bring in a southwest wind, we're likely to be in the 70s tomorrow, about 73. And I think that's in the shade. Probably mid-70s for Suffolk and Franklin, but I get ahead of myself. This southwest wind may very well gust, that's 8 o'clock in the morning, up to around 25. 23 south side, 25 Albemarle. It's model driven, but it puts the heavier winds, stronger winds, perhaps along the yellow areas over the ocean. So is it terribly windy compared to where we've been? No, but it's still got a breeze to it, and maybe just something to take note of, especially in the morning. Bus stop forecast, I would definitely take a jacket because we'll be in the 40s. By Wednesday afternoon, it's gusting closer to 20. So 25 tomorrow, 20 on Wednesday. Hope that helps. All right, here's the big picture. I'm going to show this again. I know we have a lot of military, obviously the world's largest Navy base in the world is here. And so if you're in the military, family that's near and far, you might have family anywhere and everywhere. So I'll focus on where weather is breaking right now. We've got some downpours moving through Wisconsin, moving through Waterloo, Iowa, but nothing severe. Normally we would see these orange polygons. I don't see that right now. It's not really the time of year in October, but a second severe weather season usually can occur between November and December. Just a footnote. And we got a spin going across the not the Great Lakes, but the New England, from the Great Lakes over here to New England, from Maine to Vermont to New Hampshire and upstate New York. Really not much beyond that. In fact, it stays pretty quiet here. And we mentioned it was getting some ground clutter or clear air noise in our radar site, but it's still raining in parts of South Florida. Something to take note of if you have family there. So it's time now to show you where we were this morning. How cold were you this morning? Taj, if you're watching, I'm kind of curious if you said your fingers were numb when it was 61. I would think if you were 55, all of your fingers would be numb. I hope that you stayed warm this morning. I got a note from Marilyn Bell. She's on here. She wants to say hi. I'll telestrate her. She's on here. She says, hoping that you all in the Virginia and North Carolina areas get some weather relief you need. We're getting it. It was nice this weekend. The weekend before was kind of crummy or lousy, but it was still a gift because it was a day, right? Any day above ground is good. So that's the way I look at it. And maybe some of you think similarly in that way, in regard. But I got to get back to this forecast because this is actually not a forecast. This is the actual number. We were at 55 degrees this morning at 7:55. So it was 5 minutes before 8 a.m. that we hit the 55 here in Norfolk. And it was also 55 in Virginia Beach. But there were some 40s. I mean, you didn't have to go that far. Ahoskie, Emporia, and Jackson started the day, many of them in the mid to upper 40s. Now, we finished the day at 67. 67, that occurred at 4:55. 4:55, so 5 minutes before 5, we hit the high. 5 minutes before 8 a.m., we hit the low. 72 was the high in Hampton. Newport News, beautiful Newport News, hit 67 today. Williamsburg, 71. Manioth, 70. So pick out your favorite number. Some of the ones that were in the 40s didn't even get out of the 60s today, but Norfolk didn't get out of the 60s either. But with a southwest wind, I think that'll change tomorrow. Just want to reiterate the fall foliage timing. We have reached now the latter part of October. So usually it's the green and the yellow, mid to late October, that we start to see some beautiful color in here. So that would be western North Carolina, Asheville, and Mount Mitchell, back toward the Shenandoah Valley, back toward western sections of Virginia, all the way back toward the, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of the creeper. You know, the Virginia creeper. That's a great thing if you haven't done that. That's way toward Bristol. But you could do like a 16-mile bike ride downhill. We'd do that in Tennessee. We would drive to Virginia, over toward Bristol, Abington, I believe, and he would do that. It was a lot of fun with the kids. The daughters loved it. Both my daughters loved it. And they're now 21 and 18, so they're adults now. But this is one of those things where you can have a chance to get out and see some color. If you're in the brown areas here, late November, we usually get mid to late November to see some change here. Rain chance is pretty slim. I mean, I'm generous to put a 10% chance for evening drops, but if you were really paying attention, you'd know exactly when that's going to occur. I think it's between 8 p.m. and midnight on Tuesday. So let me be clear, that's not tonight, but that's Tuesday. So Tuesday has that 10% chance of some rain. Outside of that, slim pickings. Normal rainfall, just so you know that I'm paying attention, East Tennessee, October is your driest month of the year in Knoxville. In Norfolk, it's the second driest because February tops the list with only 2.90 inches, which is kind of laughable because you got the biggest snow in quite some time, February 19th. You ended up with a 3-inch surplus. So not only did you get the 2.90 inches of rain and melted snow this February of 2025 Norfolk, but you had a plus 3 inches above that. That's astounding. And you did pick up anywhere from 10 to 12 inches. Now, October is the second driest. In Knoxville, it's the driest, but October is usually a dry month. We'll look at some rainfall here amounts in a moment. Here's my planner, just to kind of highlight this for you. It's 7:58. I do expect a warmer day. Will be generally in the low to mid 70s. Sun is up at 7:18. The wind gust, as you can see here, up to 25, but it's generally a southwest wind, 10 to 15. And then the few raindrops, I've kind of put those drops here, starting at 8 o'clock, coming in from the west. Sunset's now at 6:20. That's pretty early. I mean, I don't know about you if you're ready to make that adjustment, but we go into the 1st of November and all of a sudden we're changing the clocks. Boo! We have to have that debate again? Probably. Are we going to still do it? Probably. I don't know who votes on that, but I'll tell you, maybe you have a vote. Maybe you have a say. Leave a comment. I would love to know if you're not a fan of changing the clock. But wait a minute. Aren't we going to fall back? That means I gain an extra hour of sleep. You, instead of getting a 48-hour weekend, you get a 49-hour weekend. Well, then maybe we should keep it. Now I'm talking myself into it. Do you see what happens? I'm all for leaving it halfway in the middle. Let's just move it back a half hour and then leave it alone. I've been maintaining that position for many years. Many of my Tennessee followers understand that's where I've been on the daylight saving time for some time. But nobody listens to me up in D.C. I'm just saying, I think it would be cool just to split the difference. Let's just go a half hour. Okay, Norfolk's high October highs were 12 degrees cooler today because yesterday we were near 80. Today we're at 67. Amazing stuff. Got some other notes. I see Taj. Taj is interesting. I went from hot to cold. And I saw on the WTKR app, it's 50-50 later this week. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe it's WTKR 50. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know if that's what this comment specifically, Taj, is what you're talking about. But I can tell you with a high assurance that you can get 50% off your online and app orders if you use the promo code WTKR50. Our friends at Marco's will be giving that. Now, there are only 6 now. There were 5. Now there's 6. And maybe the Marco's that you're looking at doesn't participate because there are 6 locations that do the contest and the free pizza and the 50% off pizza. But I encourage you to sign up because this Thursday we're going to give away 22 more pizzas. That's 12 pizzas for one person because they'll be receiving this certificate. I hadn't shown this today, but October is here. You'll get a certificate if you win one large topping, one large pizza, one topping, every month for a year for free. And so you would get one in November, you would get one in December, and if you win this on Thursday, and we've given quite a few of these away since May, every Thursday we've been giving them out, that'll take you through September of 2026. So that's kind of a cool, kind of exciting. Hopefully your name will be up here. But in order to get your name in the drawing, and it is a drawing, randomized, I encourage you to go to WTKR.com/Marcos. The address webpage is right there. All right, so let me go back to the weather because that's what we're here for. And I just wanted to urge you to recognize we're now 15 days. We're almost half the month has been below normal. And for what it's worth, the normal high tomorrow is 71. 71's normal. 70 is the normal high for Wednesday, so it's going to be going a little bit cooler. We've already hit the cool streak. Somebody, I think it was Kim Thompson-Jones, wanted a string of 60. She got it. All last week during the work week, we never got above 68 during the work week. If you hit 67 today, that was 87, set back in 1984, that should be, and that is 84. So that's just something to think about. I mean, it is going back to, I guess, the Reagan era, but 67 the high, that was 12 degrees cooler than yesterday. I mentioned the last time we had rain, a trace of it was Thursday. Today's Monday, so we've had a string of dry days. We've had an inch. It is the second driest month of the year historically. That's where we get that number I showed a moment ago. So October typically gets about just under 4 inches, but we've had about 1 inch and 3/100 added to that. So we're slowly climbing up out of that deficit, so to speak, for the month. Is it dry? Of course it is. Look at the dew points. So dry, in fact, anything that's brown is extremely dry, and the coloring here may not give the whole story. I'm sure there's probably some upper 20s, maybe in upstate New York, but we had a 28-degree dew point in Beckley during the 4, 5, or 6 o'clock newscast because I showed this image earlier today. Hatteras is at 48. It's very, very comfortable, very dry for this time of year, and if you can't get above, I guess, 55, I can't drive 55, said Sammy Hagar. Look at this, 55 is very nice. We've got dew points where? Are you ready for this? This is my forecast. It's not even up to 51, barely, on Wednesday. But then it's back in the basement, in the cellar, 42, 43, 44. It's very dry. It looks more like autumn, but it probably looks more like winter in terms of dew points as they come tumbling down. All right, let me check in with you because I want to check. I don't want to leave any questions I might be missing that might be trickling in. Let's see here. Kim is giving a sign of approval. She has written on here, she says it was an awesome week of the 60s last week. It was. And today, work week, just keeping in mind the work week, because yesterday was 79. Today was 67. I don't think we'll get that same stretch because I'm up to 73 for an expectation high tomorrow in Norfolk. But hey, at least it's decent. 73 is somewhat still very comfortable. Another note that might be coming in, I got Kim, Taj, I got Jones Pretty, who was laughing and said it was hilarious. And let's see here. Taj says, yeah, Karen needs heat. Yeah, that storm didn't amount to much, just so everyone knows. I'm talking about the tropical storm Karen. This thing formed in the colder waters of the Atlantic. And so a lot of us, to be fair, in the weather community, question, did it really need to be named? Probably not. But maybe Karen's name will likely live on. There's no chance of that storm being retired. So we'll have to see Karen again in about 6 years from now. All right, back to the maps. I want to finish up here. It's 8:04. These are our current temperatures. Now this, I love this because of the time of night, right? The sun went down at 6:21. It's now 8:05. Why is this important? I just want you to see the variability. How can you forecast weather in this part of the world when it's 49 in Suffolk and 61 in Hampton? Don't you know that's a difference of 12 degrees, all at 8:05 Eastern? Yes, and there could be an ocean, a water influence, because Norfolk is holding its heat at 57. Portsmouth is 56, but you get away from maybe the influence of the water, and suddenly you're in the 40s like Suffolk. But Suffolk isn't all alone here. Emporia is at 47. Ahoskie is at 48. So these temperatures are going to cool rapidly, and maybe a little bit more rapidly if you're sitting in a lawn chair checking out the meteor shower tonight. Just make sure you're bundled up in a jacket, put a sweater on, then a jacket, and then put a blanket on top of that. That's how I would roll, but not everybody listens to me. But then again, I'm not going to be sitting out looking at the meteor shower. I might look up toward the stars after work, after the 11 o'clock news. On my way to my vehicle, I'll look up, no, I didn't see anything. So maybe you'll have better luck than me. But if you are going to park it outside away from the city lights, take note. Current temperature right now in East Tennessee, 59. Want to say hello to all my friends there. 54 Virginia Beach. Hatteras, you're looking pretty cool at 58. While they're at 46 right now in Beckley. These are, in fact, 8 o'clock temperatures. Think about how much colder we can go. And if you want something not so spooky for Halloween, look at the Climate Prediction Center. This runs from October 28th, November 3rd. Of course, we know Halloween's the 31st, but it looks pretty near normal in this neck of the woods. In this part of the country and in the Pacific Northwest, expect normal temperatures here. Where it might be spooky for Florida, they might be slightly below normal. Imagine their chagrin. Oh my goodness, it's colder than normal in Tampa. Well, so be it, if that's the way it rolls. And we can kind of get a sense of the cold air draining down in blue, dropping across the Great Lakes in this 10-day animation. So it takes us to the 25th of October, the 27th of October. There are impulses that continue to suggest cooler air in the Pacific Northwest and perhaps even here. So it's not going to be necessarily all cool, but it might ebb and flow. You got some warm stretches in here and some cooler air back here. So it's really going to depend. But I think, in my view, it's perfect autumn weather. This is the perfect autumn weather pattern set up for pumpkin patches for the Pumpkin Palooza in Yorktown. Do you know about that? I know about that. And then the fall craft show in Franklin. And did I mention the Norfolk Admirals are taking on the Railers at 7:05 Friday night? It's the home opener at the Scope. Some of you hockey fans are like, man, I don't care what it is outside. It's colder when you're sitting by ringside, right? If you're near the ice, you're going to want a jacket if you're going to the ice to the hockey game this Friday night. So I'm excited about hockey. I'm excited about the cool weather. Some of you are excited about the change. And I had a chance to go out and check out some apples and pumpkins this past weekend in Virginia Beach. Even got to try some apple cider donuts, which I love. All right, so the temperature trend does push us back above normal tomorrow. But then it's back to 65 for Friday. We hit 67 today. I think we'll match that on Thursday. 8:08, still checking in. Let's get through these maps. This is the Eastern Shore forecast. Our friends in Chincoteague, 69, and an even 70 for Saxis, Bloxham, Onancock, Exmoor for a high temperature tomorrow. Lots of sunshine, becoming mostly sunny. I think it'll be a sunny start, but mostly sunny to finish. Cape Charles, 71. Heading back to the Outer Banks, we got 70 for Duck, 71 for Kill Devil Hills, and 70 for Nags Head and Manio. And as we head further south, Rodanthe, 70, Ocracoke and Hatteras about 71 degrees. I like to show the Storm Prediction Center map for those of you that have family, curious about where's weather breaking out. Is there going to be any severe weather? Usually it would be dark green or yellow. That's isolated or scattered in the risk category. and we don't have anything going on. I did show you some rain in Wisconsin and Iowa tonight, but there's no threat of it reaching severe limits, and the rain in New England should also be rather benign. No concern for severe weather there either. What about Tuesday? The lower 48 looks pretty quiet. We're on a string of quiet weather. October is usually a slowdown month in terms of severe weather, active tropics typically, but we've already highlighted that at the top of this live stream. And then lastly, Wednesday looks pretty quiet too. Nothing to see here in the surrounding states, so we're going to continue on the theme of severe free. As we're kind of like a moonless sky tonight for the meteor shower, we're severe free on the weather front too. Here's what's interesting to see though. By the time we hit tomorrow morning at 7, we'll have bright sunshiny skies, and then some thin cirrus clouds come in here. You can see at 12 noon, a little bit of a thin veil of models trying to pick this out on I-64. There'll be some high thin clouds about 30,000 feet. Those will pass, but the winds pick up. They're double digits now, about 13 out of the southwest. Then we go into 5 o'clock, nothing. Oh, well, wait a minute. You said from 8 p.m. to midnight we had a chance for some rain. Yeah, I did. So let's go to 8 o'clock. Let's go to 9. Let's go to 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, fits within the uprights. We've got a little shower in Franklin and a little bit of a shower along the eastern shore. And a little bit more action going on near I-95. Is this going to hold together? This is just the model, a model's opinion of where this is going to end up. You could shuffle these dots like you shuffle a deck of cards and then hand out a different hand. It could be here, it could be in Surrey, it could be in Isle of Wight, it could be anywhere. But I wanted to show you this is the 10 o'clock expectation from this graph model to suggest that Franklin could have a shower at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Not during the day, but if you look at Cape Charles, maybe that's where it goes, from Franklin to Cape Charles by 11 o'clock. Boy, you figured that out pretty well. You said 8 to midnight, and by 11 o'clock it's on its way out. It is. Isn't that nice? That's nice, good timing. And because by 11 o'clock, 2 a.m., it's gone. Maybe a sprinkle in the Maine Dare County area at 2 a.m., but then it's pretty much all gone. And then you're going to wake up Wednesday. It's sunny again, and we've got a string of days, sunny days, not only Wednesday, but mostly sunny Thursday, mostly sunny Friday. So let me wrap things up. It's 8:11, 48, 50, 46. I got some great pictures to show you at the conclusion of this forecast, in addition to some happy shots. But I expect tonight's low in Ahoskie and Franklin and Wakefield at 42, 44 for Suffolk, 44 for our friends in Gloucester, and Williamsburg, 46. How about a low of 48 in Norfolk, 44 Moyock, Corolla, and Nags Head should hold in the 50s. That's why, because they're closer to the ocean. Tuesday afternoon, high around 73 south side, 70 Peninsula, 72 North Carolina. But to be fair, Ahoskie and Windsor could easily be in the mid-70s. Edenton, you could be in the 70s, mid-70s in Chowan County tomorrow, and I suspect you will be. Portsmouth 73, 75 in Hampton with that southwest wind. But I think we're probably closer to 73 in Norfolk and Matthews, and about 70 in Melfa and Corolla. I hope that gives you some context. Here's your first warning, WTKR News 370 forecast. 70 on Wednesday, 67 Thursday. As I mentioned, some of the cooler days with a high of 65. That's 2 degrees cooler than today. Got a couple of mornings in the 40s. Take note, as I mentioned, there's also a fall classic car show in Newport News this weekend. There's farmers markets, there's the Admirals and the Railers, there's the Pumpkin Palooza in Yorktown. You just have to get out and enjoy these days because Halloween is approaching, and there's surely going to be some Halloween events going on too, leading up to that particular holiday. Virginia Beach sunrise. This is from Nan Wen. He captured this. This is why people move here. I think he takes great photographs. Thank you, Mr. Wen, for sharing that with us. And also some free vitamin D from Bradley Fullwood in Hampton Sunshine that you can see. This is from the Chesapeake Avenue waterfront. Love it. And Old Pungo Ferry Bridge sunset. Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing that beautiful gem with some high clouds as well. Now, I want to show you this real quick. If you haven't seen my pictures on Facebook, it's a selfish plug, but I will promote the fact that I spent a good number of my hours on Sunday out here because I hadn't really explored it like I needed to and should have. And so when I got to the love side, I saw all the flowers on. I said, this is cool. This is on Facebook. I got 80 pictures. Some of them are cycling on here as well. But this is just one of these 12 of them that I've now done. So you want to check out, maybe you're more interested in Moyock, maybe you're more interested in Manteo or Portsmouth. Anyone pick out your favorite town. I've done now 12 of them in a little more less than 8 months. I got here on February 24th, and October 24th be my 8th month. So I've done 8 of these and 12 of them in 8 months. I'm going to hopefully fill this up pretty soon. But I wanted to show you some other pictures. This is, of course, my web address at facebook.com/aldrichweather. Being able to be out here, it was a windy day. I posted a video on that. But how many of you have been to the Victory Arch? This is really cool. I mean, I looked at this and I was like, isn't there something like this in New York City? I believe there is. But the Victory Arch is one of the many events and things you could see. Newport News Shipbuilding, the connection with Huntington. I mentioned in many of the earlier live streams I did how my mom was born and raised in Huntington. But Collis P. Huntington, he built the Chesapeake, Ohio Railway. And he had a big hand in the shipbuilding back post-Civil War. But the Newport News Shipbuilding, part of that. And the Mariner Museum and Park, I mentioned in the park, is a NOAA Marine Sanctuary headquarters. I didn't know that, but went in there. If you drive around, you'll learn all sorts of things. And it's also connected to the Captain Christopher Newport University. There's a captain's den, also a homage to my old nickname, but I love the fact that you have the Christopher Newport campus. It's just beautiful. There's some beautiful scenery there too. But of course, if you're around the water fountains and you're around the neighborhood news, Newport News, I would encourage you to come out to Tradition Brewery this Wednesday. There is an event that's going on. I'll be there, as will Jessica Larche, our anchor, and Kelsey Jones, who is also our WTKR neighborhood news reporter for Newport News. She also happened to grow up in Newport News. But we like to have these Let's Talk events. I'll put this full screen so you can see it. We like to have these Let's Talk events so that we can touch base with the community if there's something that you want covered in the news department, because we do television. This is what we do. I also live stream, but I do TV, which was my first love, still is my first love. If you get out in Newport News, come to the brewery. That's where it's being held. We will not be drinking beer. I can't say the same for everyone else there, but I won't be. I'll be drinking water, but want to be able to talk to you if you have questions about weather. I know Jessica and as well as Kelsey would love to know what stories would you feel need to be covered or maybe you feel are undercovered. We will do our best to dialogue with you. So that's 700 Thimble Shoals Boulevard, Suite 100. I've shown you a picture of what it looks like, and also very happy to be there on Wednesday. I'll be doing live weather from there, and we'll have Tony and Archie back here at the station backing me up. So if I have a signal issue, we'll be covered. 7370, 6765, that's where we're going to be. Hope you're ready for the meteor shower tonight. That does not require an umbrella. Does not require an umbrella. You like that? It's a meteor shower, not a rain shower. Anyway, my name is David Aldrich. Just remember, it doesn't matter if the weather is sunny or if it's serious. Make the most of every day. Just remember that every day is a gift. Every day is a gift. So make the most of it in your neighborhood. We'll see you here. Before I forget, don't forget the pizza, the contest, and the 50% off WTKR 50. And if there's other thoughts that you might have, I'd love to be able to say hi to you. Keep informed on how things can go. We'll see how it goes. All right, so that's in a nutshell. I want to make sure I got all this in here and I get this back on my right screen. So there you go. We'll see you here next time and have a great night. Take care.